Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time, but we're back stronger than ever. And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about privacy, in particular, browser privacy. I know that in 2024 is still a subject that is still of interest. So hopefully with this video, you'll be able to take a good decision in terms of what browser should you be using. Now, this is not a cookie cutter approach. I am not a fan of a cookie cutter approach to basically anything. You should look at mainly what do you use. What is your main usage? Like, are you looking for things related to your business? Are you just a regular user? You're looking for privacy for just not to being targeted by a ton of media, a ton of ads? Is it something that, I don't know, are you a journalist? You're trying to hide your identity? Things like that. We'll try to, mix and match and do a deeper dive into the technicality of what it means to be private, stay private, or as private as possible. So, greatest resource for this, and I highly encourage you to bookmark this page, privacytest.org. Been updated recently. Quite honestly, you're not going to find a better explanation than what we're going to go over here today. It's a fantastic resource. It's constantly being updated. The tests are executed through open source, meaning there's no proprietary technology involved in this. I don't think they're biased towards one or another browser. And again, you can go in and test it yourself. I found myself that the tests that they're conducted are highly accurate as well. So without further ado, let's go into the top 10 browsers basically. So obviously you have Brave, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Libre, Mulvat, Opera, Safari, Tor, Ungoogled, and Vivaldi. Now, don't worry if some of these names don't seem familiar. If you're just familiar with Chrome, Edge, and Safari, that's totally fine. Welcome to different browsers. And now we're going to go category by category and see what browsers are capable of what, and then at the end hopefully you'll be able to make an intelligent decision on what browser would be better for you. In particular, we'll start with the which browsers are capable of preventing you sharing your data, tracking data most specifically, right? So as you can see, most of these browsers do a somewhat good job. Notably Chrome, not absolutely great regarding cookies, and we will talk about cookies. And there's a bit of a longer conversation there that we can have, but for now we'll just stick at let's just say most of these browsers are somewhat okay in terms of sharing information somewhat, and we'll see some clear-cut definitions. And again, if this doesn't make sense at all, for example, you see like, oh well, I'm using Chrome right now, what is this SHTS cache? Do I have to Google it? Absolutely not. Boom, you just click on it and it tells you that this is an HTTP response header that allows a website to signal that it should only be accessed via HTTPS. The browser remembers this directive in a database, but if the database is not partitioned, then it could only be used to track users across websites. So is this a big thing for you, or what does this specifically mean? So on some occasion, and this is not for a regular user, I believe, that you would want to make sure that you use HTTPS only if you're a regular user. If you're not a regular user and you do have some interfaces that you have to access, then it will be over HTTP. And you would know that you have to enable HTTP to access those resources. So super intuitive platform. Moving on to navigation tests. And the question that is being relayed here is, which browsers prevent websites from sharing tracking data when you click on a link? So as you can see, document refer. So document refer basically, so I can explain this real easy for you, is if there's a refer or URL that got you to where you were supposed to be, there is a link in between those that's going to be stored, unless you're going to type in the address manually in the bookmark tab here, or that way the parameter is going to be left blank. And as you can see, none of them do have it. But again, session storage and the window name, again, you're being protected on some of these browsers here as well. HTTPS, so encrypted, right? So which browsers prevent unencrypted network connections? So here, this first one I would discard because it's just an insecure website warning, and this is going back to what I just said a minute ago. This only makes sure that it will give you a warning in terms of if you have an HTTP website that is not encrypted. And for example, if you would put in the credentials, username and password into an HTTP website, that would be clear text, and if this request would be intercepted by an attacker, he would be able to see your credentials in clear text, meaning username admin, password 123. If that request is getting intercepted, then it would not be great for you. Again, as you can see, Brave here, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Opera, Safari, Ungoogled, and Vivaldi. But again, this is not such a big deal, and you can configure this within the browser settings as well, which I think that I'll do a quick demo of how you can configure that as well. Miscellaneous tests. Which browsers provide additional assorted privacy protections? So these are like super in-depth, super particular things, and you can see that Brave still is going strong, still makes sure that it covers as much as it can. Opera as well. Tor doesn't have it. Why? Because we're talking about the ECH, so encrypted client hello. Basically, whenever you're contacting a server, it's from your side, you're going to send a hello. It's just like in real life, right? Like you have to introduce yourself. Hello, how are you? And then you get a response from the server, right? But again, Tor is a little bit different from that perspective, so we're not really concerned about the being ECH enabled. In terms of IP address leaks, so which browsers would prevent you from exposing your real IP address? None of them besides Tor, and this is why Tor, I think, it's a great option for people that are looking for, quite honestly, what I believe to be the best privacy in terms of a browser and the capabilities that Tor offers. Now, that does come at a performance cost, because if you're not familiar with Tor, the way that they're able to hide your IP is by redirecting your traffic through multiple nodes or through multiple I don't know what to call them, multiple devices, right? So your request is going to be sent from this point to that point to that point to that point, and then at some point it becomes extremely difficult for somebody to track who initially sent this request. That is a fantastic privacy option that you do have available standard with Tor, and you can, maybe we can do a separate episode on a quick configuration of what I believe is really good to have for Tor. Otherwise, none of these browsers are going to hide your IP. So let me rephrase that one more time, or let me reiterate that one more time. Without any add-ons, you can most definitely consider add-ons for all of these browsers that could possibly do that, but standard, you cannot hide your IP address from a browser. Tor can do that. Now, another point of clarity that I want to make absolutely clear, which I see a lot in the forums, I see a lot in chats, I see a lot in social media, you do not need to use VPN. My opinion, quite honestly, you should not ever use a VPN if you're using Tor. Why? Because when you're using a VPN, yes, does it encrypt your traffic? Absolutely. Does it encrypt it at a local level from your machine? Absolutely. Can they decrypt the traffic once it gets to them? Absolutely, because they have to know what are you looking to get, right? So they're decrypting they're not decrypting the body itself. They're supposed to just decrypt the header and redirect you to the correct resource. But you're basically adding another factor in, and you're placing basically your trust in another third party to to conserve your anonymity basically. And you really have to do your own due diligence and see what VPN would be best for you. And again, I don't think that you can come up with a 100% theory based on what you can read online, unless you have worked for the company, worked for the product, and read code, can see how it works and everything else. So my opinion is not to use VPNs when you're browsing through Tor. You should not need it. And I might do a quick demonstration here with proxy chains as well. If you have a Kali Linux machine or any Linux machine, or you can just simply install an operating system that protects you right from the bat, like Windows Tails or Unix or things like that. That you don't really have to deal with anything IP related every single time that you're going to be accessing things. You're going to get a different IP. The other thing that I wanted to make clear as well, so with proxy chains and with the VPN thing, one super important thing to clarify here is that it would only encrypt. For example, if you're using proxy chains, like, it would only encrypt the traffic and it will redirect the traffic coming from your browsers, but other applications will just continue on with the default settings. So if you're looking for privacy, and especially DNS requests, assuming that you know what DNS is, you really want to make sure that you're not exposing your DNS request over there. Basically, DNS, domain naming service, basically the website that you're trying to visit. So if these DNS requests are not encrypted, then your ISP or your service provider, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, or anybody else, they're able to see where is your traffic going. What are you trying to see? What are you requesting? Are you going on Amazon.com? How many times are you using that? And then they'll be able to target you based on what you're requesting, right? So it's kind of a big privacy concern, right? Allowing them to see what are you navigating to, what websites are you frequenting more often, and things of that nature. So that's why you have to make sure that you encrypt your DNS, and you should use a different DNS server, not the ones that are provided by your ISP. You should be using something like Cloudflare, or there's other options over there as well. You can manually configure it, but again, if you want to do this, do it at your router level. Do not do it simply on your browser. Once again, everything that's configured for your browser is going to be configured for the browser alone. I hope that makes sense. If you're really trying to change your DNS settings, you have to do that through your router, because traffic that does not pertain to your browser is going to resolve through your ISP. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, and it's very, very important. And I can, again, I'll go over the settings that I have here for Mozilla. Going forward, spend a lot of time on this one. Fingerprint resistance. So why is this important? Basically, based on your screen height, screen width, so on and so forth, they can deduct what type of system are you using. If it's a mobile device, if you have a 32, 24, 16-inch screen, so on and so forth. That's another identifier that can play a part in identifying where is your device coming from. Again, do you really care about it? Do you not care about it? It's up to you. But again, as you can see, and it's all across the board, you'll be able to see that there are 4 major browsers that stand out in terms of Tor, Movat, Libre, and Brave. That, in my opinion, are 4 valid choices that you should consider. Moving on, again, another parameter, which browsers remove the URL parameters that can track you. Same story, all the other ones do not. And here you can see basically like how much attention to detail these other guys are putting in, and Quite honestly, all of these options are free. They're free of charge. Libre, again, open source. Tor, open source. Brave does not cost you a thing. Molvad the same way. And they're doing it, and you should take advantage of it, in my opinion. Moving on to tracker content. Any scripts, any pixel tracking, stuff like that. Anybody that's looking to block that, right? You may not think of it, but they are. And again, Tor does not. So basically, I wouldn't be concerned about this particular category here because Tor does not, and you can customize it to be extremely strict with the things that it allows to do. So by default, a lot of the things they're not, Tor is not tracking because it's disabled by default. Going back to cookies. So which browser block important known tracking cookies? Once again, so if you're not familiar with what a cookie is, it's not a cookie. Every time that you are creating a connection with a server and you're logging in, you're creating a session, and a session is going to create a cookie, meaning it's going to store the information that pertains to you as it relates to the website itself, and it captures also your credentials. You probably heard of a man-in-the-middle attack. You probably heard of different attacks that can be leveraged in order for the attacker to steal your cookie and log into an account without, for example, needing any credentials. And this can occur in all kinds of environment, including your Outlook environment and so on and so forth. And it has been shown multiple times throughout the years that you can bypass MFA with stealing a cookie and replaying this cookie. So why? The obvious question is, well, why is there nothing that they can do to stop it? Well, because it comes down to consumerism. We're being looked at for many years, over 100 years, as simple consumers, and everybody competes to get your attention and to get your money. Now, there are going to be some products that are great, that are free, that are great, that cost a little bit of money and cost a lot of money, that they're great, and some of them that are not so good. You're going, like, imagine yourself going to the store and having a tomato can that costs $1, $5, $10, $100. Are you going to feel bad for somebody that buys the tomato can for $100? No, you have plenty of options to choose from, and it's basically life. You're given the option to choose to do your own due diligence and to do your research, and you shouldn't feel sorry for yourself if you chose something based on you not doing the research. It is what it is. It's up to you. Like, you focus on the things you can control, and you'll end up getting better results overall. As a general advice that we should all follow, I believe, right? So once again, what happens when an attacker gets your cookie? They can, extract the cookie, which is basically a set of strings, and then they can import those cookies into a separate browser, and then they would have access to your email, they would have access to whatever platform it is. So why they're not doing, or why we're not protected from this thing? If you can imagine logging into Facebook every single time you open your Facebook, right? So it's a convenience thing, and whatever makes us more comfortable and whatever's more convenient for the user, that's what's going to be adopted. So there's some, depending on the services, depending on the platforms, depending on, each vendor has its own type of settings. But basically, these cookies, at some point, this session that I just mentioned has to have an expiration date. Now, in the past, multiple companies are known to have a cookie, or like, a token, which we can talk about a token as well, that they're never expiring. So therefore, at any given time, if somebody intercepts this cookie, they can authenticate as you, and because they would allow what they call concurrent sessions at the same time. So basically, you have a website that you would access, for example, youtube.com with your account, and you can access it from this phone, from your tablet, from the other phone, from the other room, from the TV, blah blah blah. So would you like it if YouTube would say no, just one device at a time? You're not allowed to have it on your TV, and at the same time on your phone. I'm going to log you out from your phone, and I'm going to log you in on your TV. And guess what? Every 5 minutes or every 5 hours, I'm going to suspend your session, reset everything, and you have to insert your password. You wouldn't really like that, right? So as you can see, it's consumerism, is being comfortable, it's being whatever is easiest, right? Because at the end of the day, we're getting more and more lazy because of it, because these companies are catering to us, not doing a lot and making ourselves feel that, we're all good, that they're going to take care of everything for us. Just subscribe to their products mainly, right? So that is, a short, long, intermediate version of what Cookie does, and hopefully that made a lot more sense of the video that we're talking about. Moving on to cross-session first-party tracking test, or which browsers would prevent websites from tracking you across browser sessions. In this case, again, you would have Libre and Molvat doing. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Again, third-party trackers tracking you across browser sessions. Same tool, they're doing a fantastic job as well. Last but not least, DNS, which is a huge subject with which I approached earlier. So you don't have to worry about DNS with Tor, because I've explained it, relays it multiple times, where it becomes extremely difficult for anybody to track you, basically. And there's also a test that you can do. So I don't even know what I want to do right now. Let's do proxy chains. Let's do proxy chains, right? So I'm in a Kali instance here. I have Tor installed and everything. So before you can use proxy chains, you're going to say service Tor start. So this is the Tor service. If you don't have it, you have to install it, basically. Okay, and then proxy chains, Firefox, and then we're not going to do Bing, we're going to do google.com, right? And now you can see proxy chains doing its thing, redirecting me to Google. But again, you're going to take a performance hit, because once again, it relays the traffic through multiple nodes, right? So you have to be careful, you have to pay attention. That is not going to be lightning fast. If speed is more important than privacy for you, maybe don't use proxy chains, and maybe just use again a simple VPN. If you're not using Tor, just use a simple VPN. You're going to entrust the VPN with your traffic, and that's on you. Hopefully they're going to do a fantastic job. How you can test if your DNS is leaked, you can go to this website. It's called DNS Leak. Basically,